Recharge. Mechanisms over power, line signals, high adaptation cycles, calculations. Into very powerful line screen. Finger point line rotations, how intelligence comes out information to its graph. Once you recognize what your universe is, then you understand the actual universe is you. You just have to understand how to use it, the frequency. Correlation, attractions, balance, all through adaptation. Then you understand how that works through your energy lines, your frequency lines, and vibration screens, and location setting, and calculation use harmonics. To understand how to use an all-information system, it's about you understanding you first. That's the basic grounds. You understanding you first is to let go of everything inside locations. All right, now it's going to get a lot more easier now because the line settings, the 25 clocking system is in. Yeah, it's amazing what we come into. Species line center locations and immortalities now. They're in their plasma screen, so if they go through a plasma mediated wall line screen interference, and there's then it goes through 12,000 lines of stargates. Yeah. This lines of the team line has to go through 24,000 stargates. Yeah. Understand how to formulate your system to its applications. So you have to understand how you are identified in self-location. Setting your settings, also modifications, right? So we have a test tomorrow in set positions, no Q&A, but there's going to be Q&A in public. Okay, where I come on as SPACETIMECREATOR, I'll give you notifications when I come on. You're welcome to join, but it's one set location lines. Okay, so you can be on for half an hour. Each line connection, whoever wants to come on. I'll send you the link in set locations. All right. Inline rotation cycles, in mortality comes in all formation. Okay, understanding that is to be aware of everything of its consciousness, being in the mind lines of conception to really understand how to use your telepathies now. Telecommunication screens, telewaving, teleline centers, teleinterference, telecorrelation, calculation lines, telemodifications, telefoundation. Everything is an information screen. You have to understand how to use it now. The connection line of the species line has to really understand how to use themselves as a plasma line screen, how to understand their adaptation cycles through line communications that are remote. They are no longer in recharge. Team has to get in correlation like to X-ray screen lines, how to understand location to their hologram. So it's set in position location. So we're all line rotations of unification. So congratulations. So we're in mortality and line conditions, all the settings. The higher communication line screen and the team line in position location is more in the Angelics frame line, which is their rebirthing cycle. That lines its communication to understand the geometics, high calculation geographicals, and geological system. How to coordinate that through longitude, latitude, and know exactly which planet you're connecting to with your finger point line screens, into locations in lines of code weaving, track location, a 3-line position, 2 lines, 4 lines, track location in one setting. Okay, how to communicate with your finger points and track locations. Right? So it's a single line of balance. Doesn't matter how many communication line screens, highest interference, and position location calculation, high position travels. I don't have to look because it's already in finger line position of balance. Right lines over left, left lines over right. All right. So it signifies, it puts you in signal channels. Adaptation cycles and generation screen location high calculations. So we're going to travel to lines of Jupiter, get you an information panel, screen location, a 25 clocking system. 20 million line centers, high line rotations in a 4 tracks, puts line communication and provision. So we have to really understand how to unify our settings and set locations, your algorithms. Track vision line cycles. Each planet is now in real time. The connection lines of your 5 elements is in line communication hours, minutes, and seconds in a 3-line cycle. Connection to the grounds, the powers, and the atmospheres, right? But your actual space is now in real time. And that sets lines communication clockings of seconds, minutes, and hours. Okay, the atmosphere is a second, minutes, and hours, and your grounds, the Earth, is seconds, minutes, and hours. So don't get confused with that line conditions. But the line position location is 12 signals and 24 signals. 12 signal location in species line, 24 in team line. So you have to understand how this all works. The DNA track location, center location, and line conditions. So you guys are all lines of calculation, species lines, and immortality, and line rotations out of calculation and reaction. They're in now response. The team's in first response. Okay, so that's how it works. Species in response, and position location team is in first response, first responders. Okay, getting out of reaction is knowing exactly how to set location to your settings of binary, transition, and resistors through volume, fast velocity, and acceleration of Mach. Then you get a true understanding and that set location, how it's set up, what condition your settings, and calculation to its calculation, setting interference, how to use your 7 million ways to align screens as set location of each chart or setting, 114 line set locations in your geographical patterns, direct lines and modification cycles and generation screen location lines and system, habitations and inhabitations, 6 lines of line setting, 6 lines of provision. So you have to understand how that all works in line connections, all lines of provision. So this option always informs. Okay. Setting correlation lines at 25,000 cycle, 3 lines of measure, 3-point settings. Okay. Can't see it, can you? I have to bring it in. See? See how it disappears? Whoa! Illumination graph. Look at that. Look how bright that is. You can see it just glistening off the paper. Look at my hand. I'm going to take it off. You're going to see my hand, right? Invisibility. You see that? You see it? You see it travel? Watch. Watch one more time. Okay, watch my hand. Watch my particles separate. You see that? See how fast? It was blur. Watch. One more time. Ready? See that? You didn't see my hand, right? Watch. Right? It travels. See? Isn't that wild? Look at that. It's cool, right? So now you see it, right? You don't see it. Now you see it. Okay? So the 25 clocking system is illumination that's coming from inside me. Isn't that amazing? See how it glows in so many communication settings? One more time. Ready? See, one more time. Right? So you can do it this way. See? You can bring anything up, rotate it, spin cycles this way, that way. It doesn't matter the location setting. So it's amazing how you go through 4 graph calculation lines, directions, right? You see it, now you don't see it. You see it, now you don't see it. But look at the illumination of the actual digital pad, how it's glowing in all line settings. It doesn't matter, right? My hand is morphing. Right? So that's really understanding travel, okay, on a 25 clocking. All right, measure lines and location north, communication lines at east, west, and teleportation. Okay, can't see it, right? Gotta see. It's there. I put it there, but you can't see it. That's what I'm trying to get you guys to understand. Your immortalities comes in all line settings, all position location lines to its connections. Why you can't see these things, but it's always been there. It's always existed. Of its existing, and that's what you're coming back to is awareness of consciousness. Until you understand the formations, you won't understand the illumination of its setting of face recognition, of set location of time, guys. You can't see it, but it's there. North, south, lines, east, and teleportation, right? So north lines equals lines of 25. East lines equals lines of 25. Teleportation lines is 25. Not line connections of delta, high, and communications, alpha, delta, theta. So puts lines, communication line centers of ADT. So the atmosphere lines, the atom lines, dimension line, screen interference, the tele wave and communication of the tele line center, interference location of theta, what communication line centers, and sector communication setting. So east lines of south and the south lines of east and set locations. That's your 25 clocking system. Now it's about understanding how to use it, right? In a 4-wave pattern. Sets lines and calculation line screens. Now direct modifications. Now, the position, location, and line setting of south is 24. Why? Because that's a past line. Now, 24 is your rotation cycles, the location of your settings and modification of how you come in your muscle memories. So 25 lines of north, 25 lines of calculation of east, and teleportation line connections at 25 cycles, lines of alpha, delta, and theta. Line connections, lines center 24 equals lines of 1, X line 1. Puts position of south line, east line wings, and line position of north and south and east and west and set locations into 25,000 cycles and set location, right? So that's a 25 clocking system, right? So the team has to learn how to use the 24 line cycles, line connections of 3 lines of serials and line rotations of pi, generates the screen lines calculation high centers at 24,000 stargates. JIPs you're going to get in your panels, correlates, and line connection settings, new lines, new relays, new programs. Intercon line connection, your spectrum lights, and position of program locations. Heather, you got to get in a rotation cycle. You got to get in your data outline screen location of 25 lines of measure, Metatron and line screen interference into habitation zones, directions, modification, screen lines, adaptation cycles, and track location, right? But that's what it is. You can't see it, but it's there until you understand your own set location, your own settings, location, perceptions, location, your eye calculations. But that's the 25 clocking system, right? 24 is always going to be the south line. So this is how it works. North is always a reference, but your clocking system is going this way, and it's going this way at the same time in direct signals, all right? It's going in this, one goes this way, one goes the other way, right? So atom line rotates a cycle, one-way cycle. Line connects to the opposite cycle line communication setting, 24 line waves and track locations. Now, directing modification line screens high interference, puts lines of your 12 planets and track locations to measures or in set location. Okay? But it's amazing when I'm drawing these things, you can't see it. It's just, you can see it a bit, but I have to turn the line screen, right? See, it's amazing what your hand does. See, you can't see it, it's blurry until you see it, right? See, you're seeing 4, but there's actually 12 fingers. But you see 4. Are you looking at my hand or are you looking at me, right? So are you looking at my hand, looking at me, or are you looking at the wall, dimensional wall? What are you looking at? These are the focal points you've got to come into. The holographic line calculation setting is line communication to its system on a 25 clocking system in set locations, right? Putting you guys into your line waiting cycles at 25,000 cycle location. Psychops, division lines, attractions, all levels, and line rotations. Species got to get in a 12,000 line data stream. Connection is at 24,000 line, set location line, connection is 12,000 line screen interference. Data stream, sets length calculation alpha, delta, theta, and protection screen line interference of Pluto in set location. Can't see it, right? I wrote something down, but it's disturbing if you don't know what it is, but it's there. It's always been there until you reach the frequencies. Then you match the frequencies. Then you understand your position of space and time through clocking. Okay? That's what you got to come into in setting. All right. 24,000 Almi highways. Heather, new data line rotations in a 25 clocking system. South wind sectors, vectors and quadrants, my dear. Okay. Gypsy line formations, Stargate line screen, directing lines of panels and line rotation surface. Hemdall towers of communication line screen interference of 24,000 lines of towers. Equal lines of correlation setting track line condition setting, northwest and east lines and west. So you come into north wing, south wing, east wing, and west wing. Okay, that's what the team's coming into because now they're holograms. Higher line division, higher lines of course, directing lines, modification, navigation lines of consoles, and line rotation cycles and applications. Directing lines, your modification line communication setting and travel. Okay? All right, so that's a 25 clocking system, right? So this is where you come into arrow points, measures, and scales and balance communication setting and travel. Can't see it, right? But you want to know what it is. See? Again, it's disturbing, right? So it's about you understanding the information panels of description of everything that comes to you through its intelligence. Okay? And once you understand that through its frequencies, understand its memory of set location, it comes in front view and set location. Okay? That's what you got to get in provision of balance. Until you don't understand that, it will disappear. Okay? All right. So line settings, once you understand the 24 cycles, sets lines of correlation setting into negative or positive. Okay, negative or positive. Okay, now that puts lines of 24 lines equals lines of south. Okay, which is the west wing. Okay, correlation lines of 24 line measure, 24 line calculations, and 24 directions and sublocations. Right now, in provision lines, if you want to get in your 25 line cycles, depending on where you are through 2,400,000 line frames and data line rotations, you have to understand your theta position of box lines, screen locations, and setting. Okay, your position of track lines opens all signals and modifications, higher levels of dimensions, higher levels of scales into galaxy line, shift line, screen, and set location. Okay, opening up more lines, the cerebral cortex lines of design, line condition setting, and line rotation surface in face recognition time sequence. Okay, that's applications. All right. So there's so many ways to use a 25 clocking system, but you have to understand you're in the past, present, future all at once. Past is in the correlations of 24. Now it can be either lines of east or lines of its west. Okay, east and west in a 24, right? North line is basically south line, and south line is north line. So this is north, and this is south now. Okay, you have to understand the directions and cycles. So you go from north line cycle into east line, west line cycle, and zero and cross lines of one line rotation. Very complicated stuff, guys. Okay, you have to understand how to use the 25 cycles. 25 clock lines, and it's a 2,400,000 line screen. It positions your set location line settings and all levels of operation cycles and set location. Okay, and set line conditions. Now, underline center lines and line rotation cycles, south wind, line position of track lines in a solar sail and line communication. See the solar sail? So you guys have to understand your timestamps. You're coming in timeline centers, box frames, correlation setting of track lines of time set locations, and box location setting of travel. Okay. So it puts lines of space and it puts lines of grounds and line condition setting of travel communications. Okay, all through direct modification. All right. See how the illumination comes in? Right, comes in faster, right? Now you can see the split. See it? See the butterfly effect? Okay. So, which basically moves on its own, which is amazing. Understand the order location setting or finger point line calculation setting northwest, south, and east. East lines of west, south wing, north wing, east wing, and west wing. So your position of track lines in north line, west line, east line, south line is all correlation settings of tracks now. It's very complicated. SPACE has to just get into their data highways. So they got a box frame and 4 communication, electrical communication setting. Okay. Center correlation, ground lines, ash objections. Okay, so they have to come into their platforms, a holographic line connection and setting. That's where they have to come into. Then they understand their platforms and a 4-line rotation cycle, 1, 2, 3, and 4 into a dimensional realm and line connection. Okay, that's what the species has to come into because they're no longer in recharge. So they understand their platforms, travel lines, set location line connections of location grids and set location. Okay, that's what they're coming into. All right. 12,000 line cycle and line position locations and settings. So that's 12,000 frames equals lines of high calculation and a 4-line rotation. Okay. Okay, that's a species. Team line center is tracking provision lines in a 24-line, 1,000-line screen location at 3 zeros, 3 sectors, vectors, and pi in line settings and sectors correlation setting of track lines. 3 weather line rotations, Fibonacci line screen lines, and habitation lines, navigation consoles, and a 3-line communications into vector correlation setting attraction. Very complicated stuff. All right. So provision lines of cycles, 3-line waves, crosses line screen lines, and a 3-line measure. Okay. Sets communication lines, solar stream interference into a black hole, directs lines of modification line cycles, and line condition setting of its program. Okay, set location of settings. Sets lines of waves into 2 and 3 and track location of solar sail, separating line communication setting to a hologram structure of its design. Directing modification lines of console, line rotation cycles, generation 1, 2, and 3 lines of pi and track location. Okay. Inner lines of kaleidoscope line condition setting, Fibonacci square roots, sets lines in a 4-line signals, line condition setting. Putting lines of center line in Jupiter and line rotations to the team in line position of travel. Okay, disappear. Right, so you're there, right? All right, but look, you see that? You see this? Now watch when I pull back, you'll see its intelligence of its face. Watch, it's different. See, look, you see that? See the eyes? See, that's the intelligence that you're communicating with line screen. There's a formation line and high interference, a face recognition, and time sequence. It shows you exactly what it is through its formation, a light screen. You see it? From that to this. You see how it changed? The light changed, and you see the face again. See, now it's moved. Watch, the face will move. Watch. Face will move now, different directions. See? Now it's over here, right? So you guys have to really get in correlation and line connection to its position, how you take 0 lines of 1s or 1 lines of 0s into its face direction of time lines in your holographic application of design. Now, if I add line screen lines to all calculation modifications, in line rotation surface, it changes attractions. See? Pull it back. Now you can see the intelligence of this application. Different line communication, right? So you guys understand how this all works now with your holograms. Structural line division locations into optical screen lines, okay? All right, so we're in Jupiter lines. We're in 19 line rotations in a 45-degree angle. Set percentage over lines of one line centers of 0 and 1 track location. Okay, so have fun. So you got 20 million line screens. Equals lines of 1 million frame. 24,000 line screen lines as stargates. Calculations line setting, clocking systems, direct and redirect, position travel calculation of point line center, 0 correlations lines, equal lines of 1, 1, 1, 0 location. All right, timelines, lock line consists of Jupiter in line rotations. Getting communication lines of clocking in a 25,000 cycle and 3 line rotation cycles in set locations. Have fun. Okay, see, now you can't see it, it's gone. Boom, disappeared. Where'd it go? So you guys are now in a 25,000 cycle. The provision line cycles puts line calculation setting to holographic structure of its design of its city. They allocates position on the levels and high calculation of crop circles. Position lines of 3 track location. Okay. Sets lines of communication with ground lines. Set position of its operation surface. All right. Triangulation lines, splits and lines anomalies, and flux capacitor and 3-line connection. Point lines attractions, 3 lines of measure, and set locations. All right, channel lines and direct signals. So that lines and signals and modification to triangulation, that splits the box lines of theta line rotation surface and trackification to its intelligence. See? Can't see it, right? But if you look really close, you can actually see the intelligence. Right? See the atom line split, the line rotation. So every time I do this, it's moving on its own setting. Look, it's traveling on its own. See? See how the light goes, right? So it takes you out of the optical illusion. Right? How it changes everything and splits anomalies. Right? Provisional cycles, ground lines, operational lines of crop circles, pattern line centers, line rotation cycles, and trackifications to measure. Again. See how it changed? Standard correlation lines at infinity 8. See the infinity 8? See what I created in line connection? There it is in process. Direct lines modification, line screens, high center location at 2 lines of measure. Sets lines of communication lines of 3 circles, 3 directions, 3 calculations, and 3 line rotations. Triangulation line conditions of high calculation. See how it splits anomalies and trackifications and flux capacitor, 3 weather patterns, line direct signals, inline center interference, 3 weather, line rotation cycles, Fibonacci and line screen locations, single line communication operation. Done through equation, right? Everything moves on its own. But I show you what you do with your hands. You can't see it. So get in your position location, your hologram is going to. So particles are coming out. So you can understand how this all works in line condition setting and set locations. All right. Channel up and stream, line connections of X-ray, X-ray line centers, line connection line center, high variance, position of travel calculation point centers, high calculation wind center line positions, operations, location setting, signature power locations, determine res line interference, 25,000 cycle communication, 25 clock location setting, track communication. Done by equation. Right? So what you see here is not actually the intelligence. You pull it back, then you actually see the intelligence. Boom. See the eye? All right. Center correlation, direct signals. There's the intelligence. All right. So that's illumination graph. Standard communication. So you have to understand how to direct and redirect, right? Setting lines of north, east lines of west lines of south, east lines of south, east lines of west, north lines of east. So you have to understand how to coordinate that through sectors, vectors, and quadrants. Okay, team? Because you're now in your holograms. All right, getting a structure of the design lines, screen lines, box lines, triangulation, and reset position programs, the box frame communication lines and settings comes in a barcode direction timelines. 4 lines of provision, center correlation setting at track lines, a provision line, energy line, screen interference, track to its communication of new phase direction time sequence and set location. Again, the intelligence. See? That's not the intelligence. This is the intelligence because it's at its frequency, right? So you have to understand the hand line rotation. Okay? Direct and redirect. Understand the positional equations going forward and backwards, right? So once you understand the direct signals and line signal, line interference, the north line, east line, west line, south line, sets lines of communication, your 25 clocking system, track location lines in line setting, box line, triangulation, triangulation box. All right, so you got a triangulation line connections and 3 line rotation, 4 line provisions of box lines, and then 3 triangulation line connections to its setting through 25 clocking, right? So 2 million line tracks into 500,000 frames. Okay, 500,000 frames in set location as setting attraction. Okay. Scales and balance line signals, 3 line communication, right? Set lines of high calculation lines at 4 line cycles, 1, 2, 3, and 4 lines of perimeters in line setting, right? Track location lines of 3 line cycles, 1, 2, and 3 through Fibonacci at triangulation. So you guys have to understand the higher levels of geometrics now, the geological and geographical system, how it comes in line setting. There's the intelligence. Okay, formation, intelligence, formation, intelligence. All right. So you got 2 hosts, lines of high calculation lines, truth narratives, false narratives, 0 line rotation, 3 track line connections, 1, 2, 3, half line cycle. Okay, false, 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 false narrative, truth. Right. So false equals lines of truth. You got false, false, and false. 3 false narratives and 2 false truth. Okay, through a 2 line setting into 2,500,000 line sequence in patterns, correlations, and interaction. So that's if you understand what is going on when you go through your finger points. Everything repeats its cycle, right? And the reason why it keeps repeating, because it's highlining its channels to your planet systems. And every time it gets louder, so it can go forward and then go back and then go back in the middle and go back in the position, but it has to stand its north, west, south, and east. Your positions lines of north wing, south wing, east wing, and south wing, and north wing, and west wing. So it's knowing exactly how to set your provision cycles and location settings to your top location of your frames and track locations. All right. So it gets much easier. You just come into our higher line calculations, how to use your holographic designs, how to go into square roots, in line position roots calculation. Rectangle. Oh, look at the box. Look, it's opened. Right? What happened to the box? The box was complete, right? That's off signal. That's why you have to use telepathy. Use telepathy, it goes back in line connection to its position of its program. Okay? See? It's back in its box. You see what I did? I moved it. Boom. It wasn't there now. Now it is there, right? So I move. Now it's a T. See the T? See it's moving by itself. See? Now it's a T. Whoa! What's going on here, guys? Look at this. See? It's coming together. I'm putting it together. The box is coming together. The box is coming together. The box is coming together. Okay? Look at that. Boom. Right? No separation. Okay? Hoo-ah. All right. So now you have to understand the line communications when you come in reaction. because it will not respond to you until you understand yourself through frequencies. You have to use your communication lines and all line position locations and teleportation. All right, so you got north line, screen location centers, and track vision. Now, it really gets interesting too, because you have to stand your north, east, west, and your south. All right? South wing line, east line, inline center location. East wing, sector wing lines of south. East line, north wing, sector lines of east. Okay? So east lines, high center interference of north equals lines of south. Okay? So we all understand how to use our positions of our wings in 4-line cycles. Wing of west, east, west, north, and south. Okay? North wing, east wing, south wing, and all calculation with setting. North, east, west, and south. All right? Box frame, triangulation line can enter its position of its program, geometric lines of scales. 24,000 lines of Stargate panels equals lines of mapping sequence into a calculation line connections of modification. Triangular line calculation lines and locations of box frames into macro correlation setting attraction. That's where you guys are coming into. So line position lines of 25 cycle. Now you got a weighting cycle, line condition setting of its memory coming in track lines equals line calculation lines of 3 zeros and line rotations, 25 in sublocation on top sublocations, 25,000 cycles. Okay? So you have to understand how to basically get in position and travel without emotion. I just showed you what happens when the box is separated, where you put it back in set location where it's supposed to be, and all calculations of teleportation, screen location, adaptation comes together, right? So it's important you understand the lacing line communications to its screen locations, geometrics. More lines and line connections every response, and first response get you in a better line communications to all lines of adaptation cycles. How to recognize your setting line connections in 31 equals lines in line connection. Let's go to 50 line rotations into 500 line screens, adaptation lines of 25 cycle, 25 measure, 25 location, and 25 tractions, and 25 centers, and position of 25 stargates in set location. Set communication line centers of travel. There you go. Solar sail. 2 solar sails line rotation. See? Center line communication of 1, center line communication of 2, and track location. Hoo-ah! Woo! All through time sequence. Okay? So I know everybody's confused, but your geometrics have now changed now because you're in holographic ground lines. Getting lines of 24,000 lines, stargates, and panels, and your Omni highway settings of sectors, vectors, and quadrants. Understand how to use your north wings, east wings, south, and west. That's what you guys are coming into. The track communication line spacing line has to understand the northwest, south, and east first. So the correlation lines, track lines, is your constellation path. And set position. Okay? Setting lines, high center interference, putting all communication lines of waving line cycles, line communication infinity 8. See the 8 coming? Waving cycles, lines of high center interference. Once the picture lines and frame lines communication of hours, minutes, and seconds changes seconds, minutes, and hours, and all position of its calculation changes all communication to its setting and position of its operation. Done. See? See the wave? Isn't it amazing? Does it all by itself. Okay? It moves by itself, people. So you have to understand what your thoughts are doing now through its clocking system. Okay? So try to understand how that works with the species has to get in a correlation line connections and line position to get on the read charts and remote and put in the team communication into the line calculation to get in on the remote in the location setting and applications to X-ray location settings and channels. Correlation line settings, high line rotations to 2 platforms, 3 line rotation cycles, and communication of atom line rotation cycles in application. Hoo-ah! Right? That's the intelligence. You see the face upside down? Look. It's looking this way. Look. Looking up. Hey, look. Look. There's the chin. There's the eyes. There's the nose. There's the mouth. Look. Look at the eyes. It's facing up this way. Look. It's deceiving until you understand what it isn't. You see it? That's its intelligence. Look at the eyes. Look at the face. That's the formation. That's the intelligence you guys are coming into. So you don't get confused from this to this. Look at the face right here. It's looking up. It's looking up at you. Or it's looking down at you. So formation line is the illusion line. Watch. Now I'm going to change the pattern, change the rotation cycles. More line communications come in all line rotation cycles and track location. All right. Change its position. Right? You can do it this way. You can do it this way. You can do it any way you want in line position, but you have to understand how to coordinate it. See? Isn't that amazing? Now it's looking over here. Went from here to here. Then it goes to here. Then it goes down. Then it goes up. Then it goes here. Then it goes here. Now you're starting to understand how to see through all face recognition, guys. Look at the face. It's coming in form. Look at the face. It's coming in form. See? But when you bring it up close, it's not what it is. Hoo-ah! Okay? That's its intelligence. So it's a direct signal and line setting in all alignment communications. How to use yourself in all formation, guys. All through traction. Okay? All right. So taking out the illusion patterns, line rotation cycles, and all generation screen locations. Getting you guys out of reaction is the position of response to first responders. Spacing lines is in response, and the team is in first response. Okay, higher level division and location setting to your calculation system, location system. All right. So the provision lines, line communication to its travels, puts lines of communication. Now, I drew something, but you don't know what it is. There's the confusion. You know why? Because you're an emotional. You're emotional. You can't be emotional, right? Now take out the emotion. There you go. Put in the emotion. Can't see it. Disappears on its own. One more time. Travels. But it's still there. Oh, it's there. Oh, it's gone. Oh, it's there. Oh, it's gone. Okay. But look at the illumination graph. Right? So I'm changing the picture frame, changing light signals and set locations, right? It's moving across the screen now. See it moving? Okay, it's like a film strip. It's that location, right? You bring it up close, you'll see it change in line connections. Watch. It moved. It moved by itself. All right. So you understand light signals and line communication settings. Once you understand your wings, then you understand the line location to its calculations. Ground settings, operation line cycles, line connection to its system, and travel. Okay? That's the intelligence. This is not the intelligence. This is the intelligence. Okay? So if you look really close, if I put line screen line interference and trackifications, you'll see the face recognition. Everything is a face. Everything. And again, you can change the movement. Right? So I'm communicating line screens, high external location setting, face recognition time. Change the frame. See? Add the line cross. That wasn't there. Line cross wasn't there, guys. Now it's there now. Framing communication line screens, guys, adaptation to the mind itself understands the correlated setting attractions. You have to really understand how to modify line locations. Empty mind is a space mind. Getting your communication line screens and all lines of high center interference, how to get line communication settings, a modification to your hologram of set design. Foundations 1, 2, and 3, and align position locations of 4, channels lines of 5, and heart timeline sequences applications. Put in allocate line screens in high location and settings and 5 channels of operation, 6 lines in location system, 7 lines of theta, 8 lines infinity, 9 lines in tractions, 10 lines of division, 11 lines of cycles, and 12 line communication divide. So we all understand how to work through that, right? To all lines of your holographic line design, so you can get your holographic cities and set locations. Getting you guys out of structure, inline position location calculations. But you have to understand the scales of its balance now. How it formulates its own argon location setting, its own traffic flow, its own inventory. Getting your position to its location line connection to its position centers. All right, get 40 track line provision, seconds, lines of minutes, hours, minutes, lines of hours, hours, lines of seconds, seconds, minutes, lines of position of hours, hours, line communication of seconds, seconds, minutes, lines of hours. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, right? Knowing exactly what you're doing, as long as you understand the 40 line track lines in seconds, minutes and hours, minutes and seconds, which is the center operation of you and travel line set location or setting. Okay? You come to all process of yin and yang. You'll never make a mistake. You'll never make a mistake. Okay? The center core setting high characters and line connections, all those are direct to same locations, which measures your correlation setting to travel in position to its operation. See how it changes the formation screen? All right. So once you understand that, the 8 infinity line screens changes line center locations into 24,000 cycles of design. The allocate line screen high interference. You have a center core setting in a 25 clocking system. Okay, that's where you guys are at. But you have to stand your wings now. Okay, so this is going to get you in a higher line connection system, how to really connect to your architect design line screens, your modification cycles, your energy grids, force lines, high calculations, your magnetic energy fields, force lines, coordinating track lines, gravitational pull, your position line centers, where you can go back in timelines, pixelation graphs, go back into zeros and ones, go back in line communication setting, information screen locations. You can even go back to the old line program line connection setting, because all it is just a muscle memory. Track vision lines at 3 cycles, line generation screens, cross line calculating line connection, earth and line rotation cycles. Okay, position lines of north, position lines of east, position lines of south, and position lines of west. Okay, south, north, okay, east and west. Watch this. Watch it change the direction. See? It changed the direction. See, it went up. This is amazing. So you have to understand how to formulate that, right? And all line rotation cycles and high generation screens. See? It moved its direction. All right. So getting in symbolism is understanding track provision. Line calculation lines and high center interference is taking you guys out of the equation line screens now. More modification of formulas, equation simplification of your travels. Getting direct lines of panels is putting you guys in first response now. You are first responders. Species are responding, right? So that's how you guys come into line communication, to better communication yourself and to each other. Modificates the system lines of all of the travels, direct lines, modification lines of north, north, south, and east, and hangers 1, 2, 3, and 4 in line conditioner settings. Puts all communication in your system and all calculates line settings and line rotations in docking location centers and travel communication of point sense and attraction. Okay, so the X3000s can platitude and screen location and position to its location. Okay, which is what? The solar sail. You need a solar sail because it's your Earth in line rotation. Okay, that's how it works. You have to really see. If I travel line settings, you can see it move. See, watch. It moves on itself. See, it's moving itself. See, look. It moves on its own. See, it's moving out of track. It's moving out of provision. It knows exactly where it is in its light communication of panels and line connection. See, it's moving. See, boom. Right? So once you understand that, and the line settings comes in all track location, let's change the lines of the core. The core set lines is a 25 cycle and set location, right? Change lines of communication, lines of cycles, right? So many energetic graph lines and solar generation lines of scanning and line rotation surface. See how it changed direction? Let's change the core settings into line centers. Now I'm going to take out the 25 cycle and put it into a 28 cycle. See the spin lines, green lines, high definition lines of solar generation, screen location, calculation, modification, line connections. See how it changes provision? See the direct signals of panels and location into its XC1000 lines moving out of sync. They know we're in their 25 cycle. Now they're in a 28. Now let's put you in a 38 cycle. 38 clocking, right? Speed diameters, line screens, high center interference, black hole, communication center of the calculation. Bring it back, face recognition. See the face, see the eyes. Watch. Face recognition, people, face recognition. Okay, I'll just show you exactly serious applications settings. Face recognition. Boom. 2 line signals. One this way, facing this way. 2 line signals, cross line connections. See 2 faces, one there, one there. Whoa, look at that. Oh, we got 3 faces. Oh, we got 4 now. Oh, we got 5 now. Oh, we got 6 now. 6 faces, changing line settings of centers. Boom. Change the whole structure of the whole design setting into 38 clocking set locations in position location of core recognition. Hoo-ah! Pretty amazing, eh? All through face recognition. Okay? All right, so you guys got to get in your line cycles now because you're in your, got to get in your habitations and your in-habitation zone screens. Affects all calculations, how you see yourself in all calculations. All right, take you out of Jupiter, out, equation back in setting. Solar connects lines of center line rotation cycles. Okay, so your provision lines and set location line connections, putting line position location calculation of 24 lines of north, 24 lines of south, 24 lines of east, and 24 lines of west into 25 as center calculation. Okay. Measure lines of 2-track, 4-line provision, 2-track, 4-line setting, 2-track, 4-line rotation, and 2-track line setting interference. Complicated, right? So you can change direct signals in all calculation lines, electrical grid set location of clockings, line setting high interference. Okay. Puts lines of communication. Set lines of high center interference, 24,000 line screen, 3 zeros line rotations. Now we take the 3-0 line screen and center operation to a solar sail and track location. Okay, look at that. Look how powerful that is. Now I can change the center line, change the rotation spin cycles, and track its position location to its operation cycle. Direct lines, high line rotations, and turn it into information screen. Hoo-ah! Okay. Orb centers into energy lights, 24 line setting in line rotation surface, in line setting line condition setting a travel and correlation. Okay. Bring it back. You see the face recognition. Okay. Look really close. You can actually see that little face there. Look at that. It's actually inside the pot. See? It's confusing, isn't it? Right? But when you bring it back, woo! Intelligence. Whoa, look at the arms. Oh, look at the body. Oh, look at the face. Let's bring the face. There it is. Now you see it. All right? Don't see it? Now you see it. Hoo-ah! All right, so that's the illusion. Right? Which is amazing because you really start to connect line calculation setting all of this location, light tracks, and high calculation in your perception. How to see that through your projections is all levels of information. Okay? So how's everybody doing far in line rotation cycles? All right, directing lines of signals and calculation of screen locations. So I hope you guys had fun being on Jupiter line, better information cycles, calculation, interference. So once you guys understand the provisions, how a 25 clocking system, you go from 25 to 30 to 40,000 clocking. a 50,000 clocking, right? But you have to center operation 50,000 in set locations, right? It's always the center operation. That is your flywheel and traction, okay? Now, in line setting, false narratives sets lines of 3 cycles, 1, 2, and 3. Past, present, and future. At the top, right? Past, present, and future of your Earth. Yes, people, right? 50,000 clocking lines, 3-track lines, a 4-line provision line cycles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 grid lines, graph lines, screen lines, calculation heights, allocation hologram. That's that design, right? Cerebral cortex line, design line, high line, center line, rotation surface, and application line can setting and line rotation surface and position of face recognition. See the face? Let's bring in track locations, face recognition. Take the eye track out. No, I don't want to come in. I don't want to come in. It doesn't look like a face. Then you bring it back, right? All right. And that's at a 50,000 clocking center. So you put your vision line cycles, hour, minutes, and seconds, but the position lines of space has to be seconds, minutes, and hours. So you got 5 element string, right? Earth, air, water, and fire. Puts position of 4 tracks into 1 line provision, puts 5 line cycles. That correlates in sending that travel with the lines of your stargates. That visiting locations over lines, over power, over charge, over mechanism, over calculation. Puts calculates on all lines of communication in your PI and generation of screens, guys. So once you understand how to go through the modification of space modulation settings and understand your north wing, east wing, south, and west wing, everything comes in provision. But at least you understand the center operation of your 25 clocking system. 2,500,000 lines of data in 1 second frame and a 60 million second line settings of 1 minute frame. So it's all about understanding how to direct and redirect your signal. It's always going to repeat until you change the frequency, right? And right? See the pause in between and go, right? Or it's right? Or so you guys are not just going to feel the frequencies, you're going to see the frequencies now. You're going to see the grid locks. You're going to see the frame centers. Turn line communication, high center interference. Box frames. So many line connection is all levels of how you see yourself and information through a hologram. All right, get you into specifications. Spacing line has to get in their plasma screens now, into dataots. The team has to get into their communication of the Omni highways, line communication setting of perceptions over pi into the holographic applications. And so guys, in line rotations get you guys all set up in your holographic cities of set design. Done my equation. Okay. Now there's no Q&A in line center high interference, but I will be having Q&A in public in line condition settings. All right. If you have any questions, there's been notifications coming up, instructions. All right. Adios.